name is Hoppe, or Wolfgang Hoppe, and my career before I came to Ashland, I was a civil trial lawyer specializing in product liability defense, but I quit my big law firm in 1963 and joined the Foreign Service, and then spent almost 4 years in West Africa and the remainder of the time in South America. But we had lived in Michigan, and after being in South America and in the Andes, we loved the mountains and decided we were not going to go back to Michigan, which is flat as a pancake. So we searched the whole country where to go, and Ashland was one of our places, and we picked Ashland, and we have been happy ever since. Well, we got here in the spring of 1999, and I didn't have anything planned. I was retired. The government kicked me out because I had reached the magic retirement age for Foreign Service officers. So I learned somehow about SOLIR and walked over here. Our house is within walking distance, to just check it out. I knew nothing about it, but I ran into the head of the curriculum committee, who happened to be outside, and we got into a conversation, and I found out something about SOLIR, and then he asked me some questions, and then at the end of that, it was in the spring of 1999, he said, "You will teach a course this fall." And I said, "I what?" And I was very leery about it, but I taught my first course that fall, and I've been teaching ever since. The first course was an overview of the US Constitution, and I did this 1 or 2 more times later because I had developed the notion that people really do not understand the Constitution. And I was fascinated by it because that was not my background either, and I was learning a lot and found it very interesting. I was elected, I don't remember the years, but it was maybe in 2003 or 4, probably as a result of my teaching. At that time, then I began to teach courses on the US Supreme Court and important decisions and so on. And so I was elected, and not having had any other position with SOLIR, as it was called then, before, and the second year they compelled me to become president, which I thought was a bad mistake, and I tried to do something about it later, because I spent my 3rd year on the council as a retired president with a new president in charge, and that is not a good idea. And I don't think it happens anymore. I became very concerned about quality control of the instructors because there was nothing in place at that time, and anybody who wanted to teach a course just ended up teaching a course. So as president, I established a committee. I don't remember all the people on the committee, but the leader was a very knowledgeable and prominent SOLIR member with lots of experience. And they had meetings and did all kinds of work, but unfortunately, their report was that nothing could be done because I guess they were overwhelmed by concern that if any brakes were put on the teaching mechanism that there would not be any teachers. So it was an unsuccessful effort. Another concern I had was that at the time there was a lot of pressure to have teachers compensated, the people who were teaching courses. And I was totally opposed to that. And I got my council, the other council members were persuaded that we shouldn't get into that. And so we didn't. And I guess we still aren't, except for a very minor token thing that is being done now. Another concern I had during my year as president is that the council wasn't closely alert to committees, and we didn't really know enough about the details of what was going on. So I started during my year a monthly Saturday luncheon meeting where the council met at the university. The university made available one of the halls or rooms, and we had the chairs of committees, not all together, but singly, and we engaged them, and they told us exactly what was going on and what the problems were, etc. And I have no idea whether this continued afterwards or not, but in any event, those are the three major things I remember. Well, obviously, the main reason is that this is before the Osher grants. It was an economic issue, and I could easily see that once we get into that, it would tend to grow and be a real problem. That was one side. The other, having had then by that time lots of experience, several years of teaching at SOLIR, and finding wonderful personal satisfaction from the research I was doing and the teaching and the response I was getting, that I just didn't think it was necessary or appropriate for the organization to spend all this money. I didn't really have contacts, but I was curious enough, and so I did have occasional inputs about some other OLLIs, and I became convinced that we were just one on the very top, or close being on the very top in the country, because of the spread and variety of courses that existed even when in those years when I was on the council, and now, I mean, it's just phenomenal. And the cost of being a member and having these courses is terrific compared to a lot of other OLLIs, as I understand it. Some even have fees or charges for every course you take. My own personal experience is that I spend unbelievable, my estimate is I spend about 30 hours or more for each hour that I teach. And the feedback I get from the people in my class is extremely responsive to that. The people in my class know that I have really prepared. And so my sense at the time when I was concerned about this is that some people came and said, okay, what would you like to know? And did either no preparation or very little preparation. And maybe this is okay if you do something that you have spent your whole life doing, which is not the case in my particular situation. And I think OLLI members deserve high quality teaching when they take a class. I guess my effort having to do with the instructors to try to get quality control and also resisting the payment. That comes to my mind. Because otherwise, even the organization SOLIR at that time was much smaller. I think we had about 400 or 500 members. It was not like it is now. And it was running very well. We had an excellent person who really did the running, as it is now also, I guess, with the volunteers, except there's much more enthusiasm now, my sense is, than there was then. Well, the computers were already, there was already a substantial effort to get the visual aid machinery going and keep the place in pretty good shape. It was okay. Well, for the last 10 years or more, my main course has been a fall course dealing with the most important decisions of the Supreme Court of like this year. For example, this year is going to be phenomenally interesting in terms of some of the cases that they are taking up and which they won't decide until just before they quit in June because they are so momentous. I think the intellectual enrichment possibilities are just fabulous, and our community has so many highly educated people in retirement that it seems quite obvious to me that this is a wonderful way of staying intellectually engaged. And the spread of the courses is just so fantastic. And I'm not even thinking of how to play chess or Sudoku, or there are, I mean, there is a whole big spread of things that is very interesting. I looked at the current courses today, and I happened to see a course that deals with talking to the people who are in the course about some of the issues that occur when you get older and your hearing diminishes and what you can do about this. Well, I just think that's fabulous. In addition to that, although that was not my main interest, I gather that quite a few people find the social opportunities in what is now OLLI as very important and valuable and of great interest. I am very proud and happy about OLLI. I think it is being run very well and the enthusiasm seems to be very high, and I just think it's wonderful that we have this in Ashland in addition to the Shakespeare Festival and and the New York Times and other cultural inputs.